Hopefully everybody can hear me. You are joining us for Cityworks AMS latest features and functionality. I'm Greg Walters. I'll be a moderator today. With me, I also have Mike Romano. Mike, say hi. We've got two fabulous speakers, Brad Johnson, who's a subject matter expert. Hey, Brad. And also Gregor Wilkie.
Yep.
And also Gregor Wilkie, who's a customer success manager in the northern region of the US. Like other presentations, we want to just quickly walk through some of the housekeeping items to make sure that this all goes smoothly for you. And the most important thing is in the left-hand corner of your navigation panel, you've got a Live Now button. Please click on that for any questions that you may have. Mike and I will try to answer as many questions as we possibly can throughout the presentation. And we'll also have a couple live ones towards the end. If you need to leave this session, which I hope you don't, just click in the upper right-hand corner. There's 3 dots and click Leave Session. So, as always, if you have any feedback or comments, please go to the left-hand side on your navigation panel and just click on the, let me make sure I've got it right, the reviews and ratings. So with that being said, I want to hand this over to Brad and Gregor.
Thanks, Greg, and good to be with you this morning. And again, I'm Brad Johnson, one of the product managers at Cityworks. And joining me this morning is Gregor Wilkie. And we are glad to be here with you. This has been exciting and be great to be in person with everybody, but it is what it is, and grateful to have you with us and look forward to showing you some new things today. As always, you're going to see this in every one of our presentations, just our safe harbor statement, making sure that you know that we are showing enhancements and future items, and don't make any decisions or financial decisions based upon those things that you're seeing. With that, today we're going to talk about what's new with Cityworks and a little bit about what's new in AMS. Gregor's going to talk about PLL and public access, and I'll cover a few of the other things then, and then we'll take a question and answer period towards the end. So what are some of the new things that we have released with Cityworks? Well, one of those first ones is admin. And admin is the new designer. Designer still exists for a few items, but admin is where you'll want to go to make those changes, to add employees, your GIS information, your config and that. And this is actually really a great application, and the way this has been created is terrific. And you can even create favorites now of the different applications by simply clicking the star next to it, and it will add that to your favorites above. So if there are certain things you're typically always in, instead of having to search for them, you can just put them into the favorites and be able to interact with those. So this is a new application. It'll be able to help faster, more organized, and be able to utilize that with all of your Cityworks admin functionality. Another one is OpEx. And I encourage you to watch the session on OpEx. Denora will be putting that on, but OpEx is the new capabilities and user interface that allows us to have projects, performance budgeting, and contracts all together, because those all kind of interact with one another and function as similar items. So you can go into OpEx now, where you can set up your projects, the budgets for those contractors that may be working with them. So encourage you to use those new functions and things. Next one, Mobile 10. Mobile 10 is out with 15.7. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you some of the significant enhancements with Mobile 10. And first one is the support for case violations workflows are in here now. One-tap access to ArcGIS field maps, sync feature layers in a web map, text box entries for entity identifiers. So on that, you would scan the barcode to scan a barcode, we've also added a text box for the entity identifier. Manage vertical assets now with ArcGIS Indoors in the mobile app. And work order costs can be associated with multiple assets and tasks. So some big improvements there with Mobile 10. New icons have been added. This is kind of fun. So I like to customize things and make things look more personal for me. And maybe you don't like the icons that we chose out of the box. We've added the abilities now to go in and change your own and make it more personal to you and what you want to do. That's been one of the themes with Cityworks, is trying to make it more user friendly and easier to use. So icons have been added for the ability to make those changes. Some enhancements to our inspections. We've added labor and equipment to inspections. So not just in work orders now, but you can actually capture labor and equipment cost in an inspection. So if you're in Respond and you're creating an inspection, up in the top left-hand corner, you have those three dots. When you select those, one is cost summary. When you select cost summary, you will see a screen where you can click the add button and add equipment and add labor. Coming soon will be the ability in templates to set up estimated equipment and labor costs on your inspections. Again, coming soon, but now you do have the ability to add labor and add equipment to inspections. That's a huge, huge thing. Something else that we've added now, and this is all part of our integration with Trimble Unity, is conditional observations. So I could set up a template now for an inspection and have, for example, 3 observations, A, B, and C, where observation A has a yes, no as an option, and observation B has yes, no, and observation C and any subsequent observations can be conditional upon that. So observation C is set up as conditional upon a yes answer from observation A. Whoop. And you have the ability then to go in and use any of the observation types that we currently have. So freeform, date, yes, no, you can have those as any part of that observation. So this is great. Also being able to add a description to an observation has been added. Some other things that are new, we've released Cityworks 4.0. This came out about 2 weeks ago. And analytics, as you know, this is your ability to dive into your data, to find out how you're doing. Are you winning? Keeping score? It's some of the enhancements to 4.0 are some new workbooks that we have available, specifically on performance duration of work orders, service requests, inspections, how long are they taking to complete. Also the ability to simply import a file now and not having to use a Python script to get models. Esri's made this available now so that we can actually share workbooks and you import them and connect them to your data. So analytics has had some significant changes to them. Operational insights. Big changes have come out with operational insights. Encourage you to get into this. This is a tremendous tool. And the ability to look at your consequence of failure, probability of failure, come up with business risks and risk mitigations and things for your assets. So these are some of the new items that are out with 15.7. A couple of the other ones I want to touch on, because these are very significant. Z coordinate have been added. So you can have that vertical layer now as part of your asset, and the ability to set the default Z coordinate. The migration tool has been enhanced to include the ability to, as you pull in that and you have the web Mercator set up, the well-known ID preferences will automatically bring in your Z coordinates and populate those. Queries have been updated. As we've gone to dashboards in Respond and Storeroom and other applications, being able to have additional queries added to those is significant, and we've added quite a few. Project phase, child schema has been added. Of course, as we talked about labor and equipment in inspections, that has been added now. role ID, code, and description, child schema. And as you can see, we also in storeroom, we've added suppliers. In the past, we couldn't do any type of queries and searches on the supplier and supplier material. That's all been added now, as well as serial number schema, because that will be something coming soon in storeroom, is the ability to track serial numbers, warranty dates, and expiration dates. EURL updated to support ArcGIS indoors and all of that new Z coordinate information. So I'm going to turn the time over to Gregor for a few minutes and let him go ahead and discuss some of the new enhancements in that with PLL and public access and so forth. Gregor?
Thanks, Brad. Hi, everyone. I'm Gregor Wilkie, Senior Customer Success Manager at Cityworks. I'm going to switch gears a little bit and start talking about some of the top enhancements in 15.7 on the PLL platform. So that'll be for PLL Office, PLL Respond, PLL Admin, and as well as public access. So with that, let me get started. One of the first enhancements I want to talk about today is that administrators can now define which case templates can be used to create child cases within Cityworks public access. So no longer is this a all or nothing or none at all situation. We can actually go in here into the PLL admin tool, and under your edit case template window, scroll to the bottom of that panel and see that there is now a click here to add, edit, or delete child templates box that I've called out in red. So if you click that blue hyperlink, that's going to take you to the window on the right that I've screenshotted. And on the left, you're going to have a full list of all of your case templates that are available in PLL admin, any which one that you've already created. And if you use the arrows on the right to bring those over to the right panel, those are now going to be the new PLL case templates that are going to be able to create child cases within public access. Everything else is not going to have the ability to create a child case in public access unless it's brought over. So that's a very good enhancement. And next slide, please, Brad. Here, the registered checkbox now controls what items are viewable in public access and not if they are added to the case. So this is something we fixed in 15.7. Previously, this meant that if the registered checkbox was checked and a registered public access user created a case containing, say, a task, that task would not actually be created in the workflow. It simply wouldn't exist. So now we've fixed it so that if you simply click that registered checkbox and check it, it's just going to show which ones are viewable within public access and not what's actually being created in the workflow. Next slide, please. This is a really good one. A folder attachment storage is now organized by case ID. If you're familiar with this, you'll probably know that there really wasn't any organization to the folder attachment storage in any version prior in Cityworks. But now in 15.7, this is neatly and cleanly organized by case ID, as evident in the screenshot here, sequentially moving up from 61 to 102 here. Next slide. Multiple roles can be assigned to people on a case. So there's no longer a one person or one people to one role code relationship. We can now have many role codes assigned to one person, and essentially a person in PLL can wear multiple hats and be assigned 1+ role codes. So if you look under PLL and the people tab there, at the top we have the role code box where multiple roles can be assigned to a single person within PLL. And in this example, we have our person being the applicant, business owner, and the local contractor. So this is a great enhancement for somebody that has multiple roles, and we can now recognize that within Cityworks PLL. Next slide. Contractors now have the ability to add funds to an escrow account. So within PLL admin, under people and contractors, we've called out the contractor box there. So if you click the contractor button, it's going to bring up your full list of contractors that you have configured in PLL admin. We're just showing Archway Electric here. So if you were to click on any one of your contractors, the window on the right would pop up, and we've added that escrow payment button that's highlighted in red. And that button is going to be tracking the information below that under escrow payments. So you can see and track details like the payment amount, the payment date, when that was recorded, whether or not it's voided, and additional information there under the contractors. Next slide. This is the respond only screenshot for the adding funds to the escrow account by the contractors. We have the apply escrow button has been added across the top as one of the new tabs, and we've highlighted that in red. And again, this is just going to give you the detail box in respond. It's going to store that pertinent information related to the escrow payment underneath the escrow account. Next slide. This is a good one. X, Y, and Z values are now transferred from work orders to cases. So if you have a work order with a geocoded asset and you create a PLL case from the work order panel so that there's a link there, the X, Y, and Z values are going to push over now into the PLL case. So if you look at our screenshot here, I have an X, Y value that is highlighted underneath the red box. That came from a Cityworks AMS work order. And theoretically, you can also have a Z value on the PLL case as well if you have a floor or level ID attached to that work order. Say it's in a specific room on a specific floor, that Z value will also push over to the case if applicable. Next slide. We have now added a payer info section to the escrow payment panel. So underneath the escrow payment, you'll see this big window here where we can record specific information underneath the payer information. So we can collect their name, their address, maybe even some additional comments that you want to have regarding this specific escrow payment. That can all be recorded on the left side. And then on the right side, this is just an additional screenshot showing underneath the escrow payment tab, the window there. You'll see that there is a payer info button, which is going to give you, again, dates, payment amounts, and details regarding that payment. Slide. This is going to be coming out in tandem when Respond 3.3 is released. We have put two preferences for activity notifications within PLL admin. So if you navigate to PLL admin, system tools, and then to your preferences underneath the general tree at the bottom there, you'll see a new notifications tab in the tree, and that'll bring up your window to the right for in-app notifications. And again, this is exclusively going to be controlling notifications within Respond 3.3. So the top button there allows you to actually toggle the notifications on or off completely if you're to check that. And then the bottom gives you the notification expiration dates. So you can put any integer value in there that makes sense for your organization, from 1 to whatever number. But if you don't put anything in there, the default will be 30 as shown. Next slide.
That's it.
And with that, I guess if you want to see any of these PLL enhancements with further detail and do a deeper dive, Kara Haslam will be giving a presentation tomorrow called Cityworks PLL, New Features and Functionality, and that's going to run from 9:45 to 10:15 Mountain Time tomorrow, if you can join that. I guess I'll turn it over to Brad, and we'll try to answer any questions that we have that have come up during this presentation.
All right, thanks, Gregor. And I was going to indicate to everybody that we're hitting the highlights of what is new in 15.7, and 15.7.1 is coming out very soon. So we wanted to hit the highlights of these things. I encourage you to go to My Cityworks and look at all the different changes that you might be interested in seeing. Also find the session that covers all of the other items that we have talked about today, where you can see a more in-depth demonstration of those functionalities and activities and take advantage of those. So with that, I'll turn the time back to Greg, and we will work at answering any questions we can.
All right, great job, guys. Appreciate your time, and we do have a number of questions that I'd definitely like to get answered as quickly as we can here. The first one, at what version will admin be available, and is it included in the standard licensing? So I can answer the standard licensing side, and the answer is yes, it will be included with your standard licensing.
And it is in 15.7.
Okay, What is the timeline for Respond Admin for fully replacing Designer?
That is a great question, one that we probably should ask Denora and the admin stakeholders on. I don't know the exact timeline for that. This was a viable product one that they got out. It encompasses most of what was in Designer, but there's a few things still there. So can't give an exact answer, but all of your questions are going to be recorded, and anything we can't answer right now, we'll get back to you on.
All right, Brad. All right, Wendy from Pinellas County asks, with the new admin app, do you have the ability to turn on the audit log for certain fields to track updates to fields in these new system tables? It's a good question.
Another great question. Yeah, that I'm not in position to be able to give an answer on, so we'll have to get back on that as well.
Okay. Yeah, and these are some of the questions that, you know, that dive deeply into some of like the actual core software itself. You know, it is really best for us to just wait on these and make sure that we get with the subject matter expert who's in charge of making sure that designer and admin are in line with each other. Which leads me to the next question is, what cannot be done in admin and still needs to be done in designer? That we're not going to really be able to answer right now. We'll get back with you on that one also, just because of the fact that there are gaps. Ahead,
yeah, the majority of the functions, the things you're going to do on a daily basis have all been moved in there. Some of the things like pavement management templates, that hasn't been moved yet. A couple of the GIS activities, but for the most part, it's been moved in there. But there are a few things that are still in Designer.
Okay. So, and what we can do is we can try to put something together just to say where these gaps actually are, like Brad was just saying. Mike, do we have any others?
Yeah, I can take one here. Or go ahead, Brad. Greg.
To say there's one that we need to actually kind of a clarification on. Somebody had asked on inspections if it's going to be available or with labor and equipment, if it's going to be available in the mobile app. And I think what you're asking is with the inspections, or actually, Mike, let's find that question exactly.
Yeah, there's another one related to labor and inspections from a different individual.
Okay, so the question that Don had asked is, when is labor and equipment going to be available in Mobile 10? I'm guessing you're talking about the inspection side, because labor and equipment can be added right now in Mobile 10. So, Brad, do you know the answer to that?
Yeah, it must be the inspection side, and that will be coming. That just got pushed into Respond so that it was available for the Trimble Unity, and an integration that we've got with Trimble now in there being able to do various valve inspections and things like that. So it will be coming for, as well as estimated for mobile, coming soon.
Cool, thanks. And I think that answers the other question that was asked related to labor inspections. Another one we have, Jake from Racine asks, for notifications, are we going to get more options for notifications, or is the Action Manager still going to be the way to get more customized?
As far as I know right now, Action Manager is going to be the way to get those.
Great, thanks. We just have one more here. Comment is just great overall PLL enhancements. The question is, any plans on making the company name and people's roles searchable and a returnable field? That, you know, Gregor, if you're able to speak to that, certainly do, but I have a feeling that may be a CSM specific question.
Yeah, we'll have to follow up with Kara Haslam on that question, and she may or may not touch on that tomorrow in tomorrow's presentations, but if not, we'll certainly get back with you and get an answer.
There is another question that I kind of wanted to see, Brad, for you. So for Margaret at Village of Schaumburg, she says, is there a plan on phasing out Office Designer completely and moving fully to Respond in the admin app?
I believe that is the goal, is to have everything be into admin, yes.
And as far as designer goes, there are no plans right now for any type of deprecation of that particular product. Of course, if and when that does happen, we'll definitely be sure to announce that well in advance. All right, with things like employee rates, or will things like employee rates be accessible by non-admins?
I don't know the answer to that. I'll have to get an answer for you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Mike, you see any more?
Just one other one that just came in here. Actually, two more. This one, are there any plans for improving table editor?
So that's a great question. As we've had in the past, we've had the Excel tool. There's been some changes at Microsoft that have made some changes for us with the Excel tool. But I do believe that there will still be the capability of using the table editor. And we can look at whatever changes or enhancements you would like in there. Please submit those to us. But the table editor is still a part of Cityworks.
Great, thanks. And then another one just came in. Are there any plans to have the ability to clone users to pull over settings as access for new employees?
Boy, that's a great suggestion. And again, Denora and the admin stakeholders, they might have something on their roadmap already for that. That's a question we'll have to forward to Denora and her team to find out. But that's a great suggestion. We've included it in a number of things in Storeroom now, and the ability to clone things, so should be able to do that.
Yeah, so first, I want to thank Brad and Gregor for your time today, and everybody who's been joining us today. Looks like we had almost 530 some people join, and I appreciate your time as well. And we'll be sure to get back with some of these questions. And I appreciate that these questions are thoughtful, and we will definitely do what we can to get the answers to you in a timely fashion. So I appreciate your time. Please take a look at our agenda, and Brad and Gregor, again, thank you.
Thanks everybody for coming. Yep.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Enjoy the conference.